It's Jim Hammons, Monday, June 10th at 1 o'clock, UTA coaching and judging certification. All right, guys, let me go ahead and thank you for your time today. I know that it's what we got. Let me go to Grandmaster Wadley, and I appreciate you sharing with us. The biggest thing is, Coach's Court, is thank you for helping make all of our students, our sole goal for this is to make sure that everybody can have a wonderful experience, that we make it uniform for everybody, my students, your students, and everyone included. So thank you for taking time, because I know that that's all that we have. What we have is what we have. Okay, so let's move forward. If you have any questions, just post them in the comments and I can come back to them. If we get to something that you don't understand, if you would please just make sure you stop me there and I can correct anything. I want to make sure you guys feel comfortable when we're through today. I plan on keeping this to an hour or less. So if I get going a little quicker, we got somebody, Matt Vine. Okay, so I got to take one more picture. I see what you're doing to me, people. If you need anything, then just please let me know. I don't see. Oh, do I see them all? Like, there you go, Mr. Vine. How are you doing, sir?
Well, thank you.
Close this. All right. So now there's the picture of everybody. All right. So now, like I said, just put it in the chat and then I'll get to you. I'll make sure that you guys are honored today. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. What is considered a coach at UTA Nationals is a person designated to motivate and train the player. A coach understands martial arts etiquette, rules, and conduct, and improve the competitor's martial arts experience. That's what we are. We're looking for safe, fun, fair environment while focusing on keeping them safe at all times. What does a coach's pass allow you to do? A coach's pass allows the coach to be on the tournament floor alongside your competitor during their designated time in their designated ring. When the competitor's division is finished, the coach and competitor will leave the floor together. Now, what a coach's pass is not is if we have 60 coaches' passes, for all of them to be congregated in the middle of the floor all at the same time. It's not a pass to just run amok. It's designed to be able to help a student. Now, if you're a designated coach, and I'll get to why that is so important here in just a minute. But if you are traveling from point A to point B, you just finish your division, your player's leaving, and I look over and I see that my school has somebody without a coach. If there's nobody there, go ahead and go have a seat, because there's some privileges that you get that if you are not a coach, only a coach can lodge a protest. So a chief instructor can't. If you haven't taken the coaching course and understand all the rules, you cannot interrupt a ring. So there's going to be a designated protocol. And so that's why it's so important. It's not to congregate and hang out and just check out. If you have somebody from your school taking pictures or something like that, they have a press pass that you can talk to Master Arnold about, or Miss Haley. But for a coach, you're supposed to be there with a competitor. Who can be a coach at UTA Nationals? And they need to be 10 years old and older. Do you need a 4th degree certified instructor who's a coach for a 3, 4, and 5-year-old warrior or a 6-year-old yellow belt? If all they need is encouragement and to know when to go get on their spot and basic protocols that you can encourage them and just words of encouragement, you can have a 10, 11, 12-year-old who's mature do that. A parent can be a coach. School owners, UTA partners, tournament partners, we're not allowed to be coaches. So I'm a school owner now. I can be a coach because I've taken the coaching course. Just because you are a school owner or an instructor does not make you a coach. It's a different set of rules. All right, give me a heart if you understand. I'm interactive. How's Miss Haley? She's gonna fold it in the shape of a heart. There it is. She's got the move right there. All the moms have it. UTA, excuse me.
Oh, no, sorry.
Oh, okay. UTA judges are not allowed to be a coach at the same time that you're judging. So if you got to be a completely separate division in order to coach. If judges want to be coaches, they need to go through the coaching course again, because it's a different program, and you need to purchase your pass. What happens if one competitor has a coach and the other one does not? Okay. Do you have to have a coach? This is the interactive part. Shake it. You don't have to have a coach, but only a coach can make a formal protest or complaint, right? Now, you don't have to be a coach. You can be a judge or anybody. If you see a safety infraction, you see somebody and you have medical training and you see somebody about to have a seizure, something like that, that is a separate issue. But when it comes to in the ring at the time of competition, only coaches have certain powers. You don't have to have a coach. We've competed for years without any coaches whatsoever. So you don't have to have one. Just understand that they're the only ones who can lodge a complaint or a protest. How will coaches be designated? Well, there'll be a pass that you'll be required to wear when you enter the tournament floor. We will be checking it. So if I see Nathan Combs like 8 times, but it's a different face associated with a name every time, that's a problem. We don't share passes. And simply because I don't want you to give somebody a pass. If Mr. Stacy gives me his pass so I can go help, and I legitimately want to help, but I haven't taken the class and don't know the rules, that's not really help. So we don't share our passes. If you lose it, it's like $10. They'll make you another one on the spot, but make sure that you keep a hold of that pass. How do you get a coach's pass? Well, you attend an online or in-person coaches meeting. You're doing that now. $25 pass if you've already purchased. And my guys had to get there. When you register, you get the attendance. What is that, Dorothy? For the parent pass, so you come in and watch it. The spectator pass. They take that. If you paid $9, they take that off of the $25, and you just pay the difference. You don't pay anything twice. Passes will be available for pickup on Friday. So if you have a Friday and Saturday competition, I'm going to have my Master Pizarro, Ms. Hiller probably show up for Mr. Dunham, but everybody can get their passes. You can designate one person from your school as opposed to everybody billing up. I believe that's what we did in the past years. Hopefully they will allow that this time. It saves congestion. All right, so now here we go. Coaching etiquette. You got to be mindful of all the competitors. Now, here's the thing. Are we going to make mistakes? Absolutely. That if we were infallible, why would we issue a coach's pass, right? We're infallible. We don't make any mistakes. That's just not true. But we are watching. If I'm the center ref, I'm watching my 2 players. I'm watching both of my judges so we can kind of all move together. We don't get blind spots. I'm watching the ring to see if Mr. Stacy goes out of bounds and I punch him, I can score. If he kicks me from out of bounds, he can't score. We're watching all that. I'm watching, are any kids going to come running through my ring and get killed or hurt my competitors? I'm watching a lot of things in real time. Give me 2 claps. You understand what I'm talking? It's like parenting on steroids. So am I going to make a mistake? Possibly, but it's going to be a human error. Also, we only call what we see. Some of you punch me, that's easy to see. My arms are up and you punch me in between my arms. One of the judges may not be able to see that. And we'll talk about the what happens in the scoring portion of it, but understand that you're only looking at one competitor. If you're a parent, you're only looking at your kid. If you're a coach, you're only looking at your person, your player, and how they're interacting with the other player. We're watching a lot of things. So no, we're not cheating. Sometimes we're just dumb. I'm in a position that I can't see something actually strike. If you don't hit me, I can't call the point. And so we'll talk about what all those hand gestures mean and how the maths at the end. But just be mindful of all the competitors, because you're looking at yours, we're looking at all of them, and we want to keep everybody safe. If we do our job and make it fair, then the best player wins that day. That's the only thing that we want, is to make it safe, make it fair, and may the odds be ever in your favor, right? We just want to have a good attitude and have a good time. Hey, there's no negative, obscene, or vulgar language. Think of the old Disney. If you can't say it at church, let's be kind in front of the kids, right? Let's just use uplifting language. We can have a problem. We can disagree. We don't have to be disagreeable. We'll talk about the etiquette. Just going, excuse me, sir, I need to lodge a formal protest. And there's a process, but that's all you got to do. You don't have to throw something at us or scream at us. There's a process, and we're going to follow it also. So you don't really have to worry about that. Hey guys, am I talking too fast? I know some of you guys may be at work or on a lunch break, so I'm kind of hurrying a little bit. All right, coaches are not allowed to interfere in the calling of the judges. Now, I don't know if you guys have been to open tournaments, right? It's like, I can't believe you made that. If you just insinuating things, innuendo and negative stuff, we can't do that. Your player can actually get in trouble for it. It could be taunting. It could be unsportsmanlike conduct. So there's a lot of reasons we don't do that. One, we just don't want to represent that in front of the youth. But let's use clean language. We can't do anything like lay in the chair and get huffy or use verbiage, innuendo that makes it sound like the judge is incompetent, cheating, or being mean. We're not doing that. I hope everybody knows I don't care who wins. I don't. I mean, like I would pay money to not have to spend 3 days doing this. So we do it, all of us, as a labor of love to make sure everybody has a good time. Remember, I want it safe. I want it fun. I want it fair. And then may the odds be ever in your favor. I don't care who wins. I care that it's safe, fun, and fair. Does that make sense? Coaches are not allowed to walk behind the scorer's table or anything while their competitor is actively competing. I know we all like to know where things are at, but when we get to it, you have to be in the chair to be a coach, and we'll get to it. But if you're not in the chair, there's no coach. So you're just not an in and out, in and out, in and out. And so you're a coach and you stay there for the duration, because if you get up and go behind the table or get up and leave, then your player doesn't have a coach any longer. And you don't get to leave, come back, unless you make arrangements to the bathroom, rotate with another judge, something like that. Because if something happened and you were not in the seat when it happened, then you can't protest, or you weren't there and didn't see it. Coaches are not allowed to call judging points or interfere with the corner judges. There's no timeout call. Now there is, but I'll get to it. As far as for safety or clarification, absolutely. You can make sure things are fair, fun, and safe, but you can't just call timeout because you need something. There'll be, again, protocol on when to do it. Coaches are not allowed on the mat or in the ring at any time. What to bring when coaching: a water bottle. Keep water around. These kids forget to drink water all day long. The next thing you know, they're sick. Bring a towel. Bring a stopwatch, because it's always nice. Sometimes you may need to time things, or they have an amount of time in between rounds. And so also, I would, for us, here's what's going to happen. I'll talk about the lodging a protest if you want a formal protest, but it's not he said, she said. There needs to be several people that have seen it, corroborating. But video is always great. And in video, when you start the video, when the match starts, you can see how long that it runs. And so that could be one of the reasons that you lodge a protest. Protest, only the coaches. Who? Coaches. Chief instructor, I'm a 9th degree grandmaster. No, if you don't take the coaching course, you can't be a coach and protest. If you make a formal protest, we're taking a check. It's $100, because you're going to get the money back if you win. Now, here's the sole reason for it. That's not a land grab. Don't care about the money. If we had 10 people protest that day and I got to keep all the money, I would give the money to anybody if I didn't have to be there for 3 days. I love helping people. I love helping the students, growing our association. People helped me coming up for 44 years, right? Give me 2 claps. So somebody did it for us, so we're paying it forward. It's a voluntary job. So if you go to other sports, I think a lot of parents are just used to being able to go out and they think if they say the same thing 3 or 4 times that it changes the call or changes something, and you don't get to gripe to change something. If there is a legitimate problem, if we did something wrong, and we'll talk about the most common problems so that you'll know about them. But we figure if you walk up to us with $100 check, it's a right. You really do have an issue, right? Because if we just let everybody do it, we would never move the tournament forward. We're going to have, 700, 800 competitors. And so I've had rings that just has gone all day long. I couldn't start another ring because I can't get people to quit screaming at me at an open tournament. I might do 2 rings a whole weekend. Whereas at our tournament, I may run 10 rings myself. So the $100 protest fee is simply to make sure that it's a legitimate protest, because you give it right back to you, right? So if you win, you get it back. You have 2 minutes for the end of the person's match to protest. So you can't wait 2 or 3 matches down the road and go, oh, if he would have won here, if there is a legitimate protest, but for 2 minutes after the end of the match, simply walk to the judges table and go, excuse me, I need to lodge a formal protest. You're on the clock from your chair to the judges table. That gives you time, if there's video, to review it, because the parent will come and go, look, here's what happened. You look at it. And if you guys know, when I tell you what we're looking for, you're going to do one of two things. You're going to go, oh, here's why that call was made. Or, hey, this looks like a problem. Would you like to lodge a formal protest? Right? Because that is the process. You, when you look at it, will know if it is truly an issue with the judging, or are they unhappy with the result. Because as parents, I don't know how many of you are parents, but if you're an instructor, you're a parent to 500 kids, right? Day in, day out. We know that something can be absolutely correct and it not be wrong. Just because a parent doesn't like it does not mean that it was a rules violation. Does that make sense? So just because they don't like a call doesn't mean it was the wrong call. So you got 2 minutes to make your protest, and then they're going to come and get me. They're going to get Mr. Powell. They're going to get Miss Haley. So it's not any one person. There'll be a committee of us that show up. Everybody will review it, and we'll make a decision. The decision's final, because like Miss Haley brings up a protest, and so she's player A. I'm the coach of player B. So she makes a protest and she wins it. I can't protest the protest because I'm protesting the same thing, right? So when one decision's made on one side, unless I had something totally different, now that would be a very unique situation, because if things were going my way, I won. And then Ms. Haley had video that showed that the other player actually won. What am I going to say? They already reviewed it. They saw my side of it. They saw her side of it, and she won. Great job. I'll get you next time, right? That's where we just got to develop a little bit of grit. Questions and concerns are directed after that. They'll call the floor director, tournament host. So we will all come and take care of that. Can a pass be removed? Can you put your kids in timeout? Yes. I mean, but why would we do it? Unsportsmanlike conduct, profane or obscene language. Things like that. Really what it would be is, I'll pick on somebody else. So Mr. Derek Anderson, if he was a little mouthy, I'm like, excuse me, Mr. Anderson, whose school are you from? I'm from Miss Hillary's. All right, come here with me just a second. Hey, Miss Hillary, here's what happened. Would you mind letting him know the etiquette? And he can jump in the chair next time. Man, we want everybody to have a fun, safe, fair time. So if I can correct it, we're not looking for reasons to throw people out. But yes, a pass, we can go, hey man, I love you as a person, but I can't have you in the chair. You're not being encouraging. It's not a positive experience for everybody around you. And yes, we will take a coach's pass away for disrespect, but people that aren't using the etiquette, they're rude, mean, malicious. We'll get rid of that. Okay, so here we go. If you're coaching forms, now listen, every student should know what to do. Get out there and be fully prepared to just do their pattern, because you do it in class, right? I'm not going to tell you the movements, but as a coach, here's a pro tip. Have them practice their pattern a couple of times on the surface, on the ring they're going to compete in, so that they also know their distance, because they can't land up in the judges' laps. So that way, if they start and they get really close to where the judges will be, Ms. Hillary can tell me, hey, back up 3 steps. That's where you're going to go to bow in. So your pattern will look perfect. I'm picking on Ms. Hillary because I know her. She's here local, right? But you can encourage them that way so they have a good showing, right? Hey man, come on, you're going to do it. Come on, David, you got this. You're the best. And then quiet. I don't know if you have children that train in the program, but if in the middle of their pattern at testing, you try to give them corrective feedback, they're not going to get a new belt. They need to focus on what they're doing at the time. So you have to be in the chair. All the power is in the where? The chair. That's right. So if you're not sitting in the chair, you're not the coach. You can encourage them before they get out there. Come on, you got it. Give me that focus. Give me that fire. Show me that emotional content, whatever it is you're working on, and then let them do their job. Right. So you're going to sit in the chair. There's no coaching during the performance, before and after. Man, great job. I love your effort. I like your fire. And then only one coach at a time. Then everything comes up. Coaching point sparring. Again, you got to be in the chair. The chair is where it's at. Coaching is allowed between calls only on stop and go. Again, if it's the first person who touches wins, and I'm sparring and you say something, I look over and get touched, I can't listen to you and deal with somebody trying to hit me in front of me at the same time. So ready, break, judge's call. Right now, you're telling me move your feet, hands up, use your lead leg. If that's how you coach. So while the call is being made and they're doing the points, you talk to your player. Now, here's a pro tip. If I can't talk during the competition and I look over and Mr. Vine is looking up at me, I do this. Move your feet. That's move your feet. Hands up, move your feet. Hands up, move your feet. Let's go, let's go. You can have some visual commands, right? Get your hands on them. You lean back and pick your foot up. That's a use your lead leg, right? So you have a couple of basic commands that you can make visual references for. That if something's happening, then you can show them, hey, get your hands up, move your feet. Let's do something, right? And they can follow that. That's something you have a couple of weeks to coach in. I like that because in international competition, the judges or the coaches are an extension of the player. So if I do something wrong, if I'm Nathan's coach and I do something wrong, Nathan gets a warning, gets a deduction. So I keep opening my mouth, and every three warnings is a point for the other person. International competition, if Matt and I are tied at the end of time, they look and see who has the most warnings. He has 3, I have 4, he wins. So that's why sometimes it's good to have something where they can just look at you real quick, and because we take a lot of information in visually anyway. No coaching while the action's going. You need to be on the same side as your player. That one is just easier. And when they bring them back to their marks, or they bring them back to their spots to call points, yes, they're closer to you to be able to hear your commands. If you're coaching continuous sparring, then you'll be in the chair. You got to sit there. You'll be the coach. In between rounds, then you have your competitor sit there, and you have that whole time to encourage and give them a new game plan if things aren't working out. You're allowed to coach during the action. I don't know that we're going to have continuous sparring, but there will be some other, like if we had continuous weapons, it'd be exactly the same thing. But in continuous sparring, if we have it, if I'm allowed to hit you 3, 4, 5 times, move your feet, hands up, get your lead leg on them. You don't want to just keep there and be in a pinata, right? So we can tell them something on the spot if they do have continuous sparring. If you're coaching padded weapons, again, so you're sitting in the chair and you're allowed to coach during the action. If you have somebody in your school doing the tag team sparring, no coaches, none. The players are their own coach. There's two players watching the whole time, and so they're encouraging each other. There's no coaches because your team can get disqualified or get a warning if you're telling them what to do, because there's some things they're required to do. One of them is all 3 players have to spar in that 3-minute round. Okay, how many of the players have to spar in that round? All 3 of them. So we had one year, one team was up by 9 points, but they were so excited one of the players didn't get to spar and they lost. Just because. So, all right, so here's your strategy. If you're going to coach, coaches have strategies. If you're who has a tag team group? As a lot of you guys are probably going to have a tag team group. It's 3 people sparring. All right, when they line up, they wholesale change every point for the first 3 points. After that, then whoever's the best player can play. But all 3, ready, judges call, boom, first player 1 play. That's the first 2 points. I come off, Hillary goes on, boom, judges call, she comes off, Matt goes on, boom, everybody's sparred. Now they can coach play to whoever's strengths or weaknesses. Got it? So for the first two points, change immediately, and then they never have to remember to change. You have to practice this for them to coach it, because when the rubber meets the road and they're excited, they'll forget. Coaching team forms is exactly the same. You can't talk to 5 people or 2 people or 3 people doing a pattern at the same time and think something good is going to happen. The team should be prepared to do the whole pattern, line up, do everything all by themselves. The only thing that there are no coaches for I can't use my scroller for that. There are no coaches for team forms. Are there any questions about the coaching? That's all the coaching rules and guidelines. Is there anything that I've left out for you? If you have any questions, I'm willing and able to answer them. Okay, because what I would encourage you, what I would like everybody else to do, and I'll be real prompt with it, but we're going to review the level 1 judge. Is there anybody here doing the judging certification for today? Any black belts doing the judging certification? Oh, Moses. Okay, yes, sir. Okay, so you get that. Okay, so now what I like for everybody else is, as a coach, if you know what the judges or what we're doing, you're a much better coach that way. So let me burn through that. Whoops, for you guys. Make sure I didn't drop something and end my meeting. All right, so the level 1, the corner judging certification. Okay, Monday, June 10th, 129, level 1 UTA judging course begins. Jim Hammons teaching it. All right, so the level 1 judge it first thing out the chute. We don't walk up, judges. My name is Jim Hammons. My style is Wagey. We don't do any of that. We're an association, so we're all doing Taekwondo. And so most of us know the patterns. So we'll call your name, Hillary Spears. By the way, yes, sir. She comes out and she stands at attention, bow, ready position, your pattern. And I just tell them your pattern begin, because you're going to do it side by side. So now forms, they're going to come out. We're going to do it side by side internationally. So they'll call me and Moses up, 1 and 2, bow. All right, ready position. And so we'll do patterns simultaneously. Then the judges call, we point to the one who we think wins. So you get 2 of the 3 judges. There's 3 judges. It's really hard to mess that up, right? So we have a senior judge who knows most of the patterns. Everybody else knows what a front kick and a front stance is. And so we're just looking at whose stuff's best. Colored belts. If you have a colored belt, I don't teach every form in our system. And so you can have maybe do a pattern within 2 ranks of theirs. So theirs a rank lower, a rank above, right? So within 3 ranks of theirs. So color belts. If you are doing traditional forms and you're a black belt, all black belts in the traditional forms division, we're going to have 3 forms divisions we'll talk about in a minute. Then you have to use a form in your rank base. In most styles, there's only 1 form for a first degree, 1 form for second degree. In our style, there are 3 eligible patterns. You got to pick one in your palette. So if you're a first degree, you got to do a first degree pattern. If you're third degree, you can't. It's not dueling gay becks all the time. If the person's just tested, they can do their old pattern. All right, for coaching, if I have a player who is just tested within a couple of months of the tournament, then as a coach, as a senior instructor, I'll go, hey, Mr. Moses, Mr. Hingy, I've got a student in this ring who just tested. They're going to be doing their previous pattern. You're like, yes, sir. Now I tell the coaches, Ms. Hillary would come to me and go, excuse me, sir, Jimmy has just tested last month. He's doing his old pattern. Perfect. And then I tell my competitor, is like, they call my name, I bow in, I run up to the judge, excuse me, sir, I was told to tell you that I just tested 8 weeks ago, and I'm supposed to do my old pattern. Okay, great, thank you, sir. And I back up and I stand at attention, they bow me in. So no less than 2, but from my school, 3 times. The judge has been told 3 times that my player is going to do a lower rank pattern. If they get poor scores, and it was a sharp pattern, I mean, good stances, sharp technique. I'm looking at the target, and there was a problem. You might ask, "Oh, excuse me, sir, was there a problem with the pattern?" I'm only asking to see if I need to lodge a protest. Simply because if I say, well, he did a lower rank pattern, so I scored him lower, would that be an appropriate reason for a protest? Probably so, right? I downscored for no reason, right? So if it is judge error, if it's the judging, if it's our error, that's a reason for a protest. If it is the competitor's error, they messed up their pattern, they stepped back with the wrong foot to ready position, a half a dozen things. But if it is the competitor's error, then there's no protest. If moving up into a higher division, it's the responsibility to inform the judges of the lower pattern. The single elimination means when you win, you're in the winner's bracket, then you'll come up again with another competitor. Now, winner, we pick the side, and then it's just like sparring. So we use the same brackets. Now, listen, we're going to do ITF, the Chunji patterns. We do Taeguk or the Pao Gui patterns. That's what you can do for traditional patterns. Sine wave, no sine wave. Everything is equal. Yeah, you must compete in a traditional uniform, white, black, blue, or red. Okay, so that's the forms the traditional forms. Non-traditional forms, Korean or Japanese forms that have been altered from the original, and that is altered in any way. For a lot of the patterns, the technique differences that we see today, they have inherited from somewhere along the line. In Gaebaek, I do double knife hand front kick, spear hand. It's a turn side kick. But I have a really beautiful turn round kick. So my instructor says, hey, in these turns, throw that turn round kick and keep going. I bet they give you better points. Okay, so what happens, though, is they get used to doing something like that in an open pattern, and they do it in a traditional division, and they lose points. So we need to make sure there are no alterations on the patterns, because that would be a non-traditional form. If they have an alteration in any way, they can still compete, but they do it in the non-traditional. Also, if the forms were created after 1980, that's all ATA patterns, that's all GTMA, that's all Tiger Rock. So anybody whose background is from those styles will be in non-traditional forms. So it's non-ITF or ITF altered, it's non-Kukiwan or altered. You can't do music, so you can't use music. Judges got to be one rank higher than the competitors. In creative patterns, okay, this is your jams. You can do anything. You can make up your form. You can use music. You can use dance or gymnastics elements. You can perform in non-traditional uniforms. The coolest thing I saw was this awesome pattern. The guy looked like he should have been in a cosplay. He came out looking like, what is that, Dragon Ball Z? Like he looked awesome, right? So his pattern was amazing too. And the judges can be of any belt rank. We're just looking at what's most visually appealing. Okay. In traditional weapons, I'm looking here. Do I have any? Let's see if I've got any chats. Nope. Okay, good. All right. So let me get back here. Make sure I didn't have any questions during that part. Traditional weapons, no cartwheels, no flips. You can't let go of the weapon. In traditional combative weapons, you don't let go of them. You know, unless you're John Wick and he can get away with a lot, right? No music is allowed. They may wear traditional clothing, but it does not add to the score. So if they are doing traditional weapons, wear a kung fu uniform for that style or that's cool. If you're doing a sword form and you're wearing a hakama, that's cool, but it's nice, but it does not give you more points. So doing a wardrobe change does nothing for points, but if that's the only way they train with the weapon, it may give them more confidence. No music's allowed. You can't drop the weapon. If you drop the weapon, it's such a massive point deduction, right? Unless you're just a real little itty bitty, will allow you to restart. But I mean, like generally, if nobody's dropped but you're not going to win. No live blades. I had to kick somebody out of it was a closed an open tournament, but they had a live sword. They sent this little 12-year-old kid out there with a real katana. Like I'd never seen anything like it in my life. And then the parents were mad that I disqualified this kid because they couldn't find another katana. We're going to inspect the weapons. That's how I knew that it was a real katana. It's a point scoring system. So it's a one at a time performance, and we issue points. So we'll look at the first three, we'll issue points for the first three, and then everybody moves on from there, kind of like more traditional. If you're going to judge it, you got to have a little knowledge of weapons. It's Japanese, Korean, Filipino, and Chinese weapons. No European weapons are allowed. Means I'm disqualified. I can't use my Ford F-150. That's my weapon of choice, right, when I compete. In non-traditional weapons, you can use any style of weapon. So Asian, European, some of the ninjutsu weapons are really cool. Chinese kung fu weapons, they can be made up. So you can make them up. Our point system is 9-0 to 9-9, one at a time performance. They may not let go of the weapon, but in non-traditional, I mean, because a lot of schools make up a competition for them, so they can be made up. Judge needs to be any kind of a black belt. It's really more visual appealing since it's not a traditional pattern. And then our jams, the creative weapons, they can do anything as long as it doesn't kill anybody, right? So you can make up your pattern. You can use gymnastics. You can use music. You can let go of the weapon. But also, if you high risk, high reward, high risk. If you drop it, you still get the same massive penalty. And you can be any black belt to judge. In the team forms, we're going to judge them one at a time, but the format is the same. So when you watch it, it'll look awkward because we're not playing favorites. We'll pull one whole team up. That team will sit down. The other team comes up. Then both teams come up. We let them both sit down because you can line up in a formation, you make a formation, you reline up, and then you exit. So that's all considered part of your performance. But we'll call both teams up. So then just like we have two players for individual patterns, and we point winner, winner, chicken dinner. So one comes up, they're down, the other one comes up, then we bring them both up, and then we score by pointing exactly like regular patterns. Judges will be judging on timing, creativity, and staggering. You see the little domino effects. They got some cool stuff. If you don't have that, you can still have a team pattern. But if we have somebody that, again, that's a higher level of creativity and difficulty, so you might not win. The judges got to be one rank higher because they're doing a traditional pattern. So if everybody here's a first degree, I only need second degrees that know the first degree pattern. So second degrees can judge a first degree division. If you have somebody doing a third degree pattern, then we need fourth degrees and above to be able to judge it. In the sparring divisions, they got to wear safety gear. If no face mask, then the parents got to give permission. All right, so Mr. Hingy, here's what I do. Grandmaster Hammond says, okay, I got Miss Hillary. I'm picking on her because she doesn't want her kid to wear a face shield, chest guard, or cup. She doesn't care if he dies. No. So if she says, hey, I don't want my kids to wear the face shield or the body shield, I'll go, fantastic, hold on. Boom. Hey, this is Jim Hammons in Marine 6. I'm judging the boys' 11 and 12-year-old black belts. This is Miss Hillary Spears. She's wanting to let me know her kid does not want to wear safety gear. Hey, would you tell me what you want for your child's name, and that we don't have gear? Boom. And that way, if there's a problem, I've got something to send to Grandmaster Wadley. So just to protect yourself, because if they go, hey, we don't want to wear any safety gear, and I've got a 6'2" 13-year-old, and you have a 5'2" 13-year-old black belt, and when they're in fighting stance, this black belt's face is about waist level, and he gets sidekicked directly in the small bones in his face, and something bad happens. It's not. I'm not assuming that liability. I want all kids to wear face shields. I wear face and chest shields because I talked to a child ER doctor. 80% of injuries, like injuries going to the ER, are facial bones from baseball, a bat, or something there, or they're getting hit in the chest. They're young and it stops their heart, like baseball, softball, a soccer ball, football, a helmet hits them. And so those are the 80% of the injuries they see with kids happen in your face and on your chest. And so I cover them at my school. So if you don't want it, that's fine. But I, as a ref, a center judge, I will make sure that I get documentation that covers me. So if the parent has to give permission, but I would get video on that because I don't want them to come back after. Adults may choose not to. Hey, if you're 18 or older and you're a grown adult, then fine. But I encourage my kids to do that. You can have a coach. You don't have to have, but you can have a coach. I encourage everybody to have a coach so that if there's a problem, there's somebody to take care of it for you. We don't call the winner. We don't go winner this time, next time. It's only winner this time. I'm not a jerk. We had a protest. And hey, my kid won. Look, here's the picture. This time, next time, they took this picture and tried to protest with a picture. How bad you need a medal? I'll just buy you a medal. Like, stop it. They made a protest based on a picture of us raising their hand and their kid was in second place. They are no longer a UTA member, right? It's like, that's not our culture. So we only do winner this time. Face shields and body shields are optional. All right. So point stop sparring. All right. It's a 2-minute match. The clock doesn't stop for the timekeepers. It's like you only stop it when the center ref says to. There's 3 judges. There's a center ref and 2 corner judges. 1 scorekeeper, 1 timekeeper. All 3 judges vote. First to 5 points wins at the end of the match, or whoever's ahead at the end of the match. Body techniques: kicker punches to the body, 1 technique. Head punch, 1 technique. Right? I mean, body techniques are 1 point. Head punch, red belts and above, 1 point. No jump punches to the head. No head punching below red belt. If you kick him in the head, 2 points. A jump kick to the body is 2 points. So if you have a player who is not super flexible, how do they make up extra points? Have them practice now. Jump spin side kick, or jump turn round kick, jump front kick to the body. An aerial kick to the body is 2 points if they can't kick to the head. A jump kick to the head is 3 points. All right. So there are only 3 calls that we have. Only 3. How many? All right, there we go. So there is judge's call. I point to the player and I pick the point. 1 point, 2 point, or 3 point, right? We already got that. So player A, player B, judge's call. I got 2 points over here. I got 3 points over here. That's a positive. Think of it that way. If I see it and I go, no, and I cross my arms at my waist, that is no point, like an X block, right? Boom. No point. That's a negative. So if I have point, white, no point, what is that? As a 1, a positive 1, and a negative 1 equals what? Nothing. So there's no call. That comes into play in just a minute. And then I have no C. A no C is neutral. Means I didn't see it. I'm stepping out so that everything is fair. I don't call what I think it was. I only call what I see. So you're going to see us moving. And then, like, I got my 2 judges and I'm trying to keep my lines of sight open so I can see when something hits. If I don't actually see the technique score, no C. You'll see this or this. That's a neutral. So as Hillary says point A, I got Matt says no point. I say no C, no point. Right? But a lot of people, the parents are focused, hey, we had a point over here. Why didn't they score the point? Because there's a plus and the minus. There's nothing. So we need a corroborative, and this will come into play in overtime. So if I got point red, point white, no C, that's a point over here, a point over there, and a no C. How many point? Who gets the point?
Red.
Nobody. I got point red. I got 1 judge says point white, and I go, there's no tiebreaker. I say no C. What is it?
No.
0. There's no point. Okay. Player A, 1 point red, 1 point red, no C. 1 point red. You got 2 and a neutral, 2 positive and a neutral. So whichever player it is. Okay. 1 point red, 1 point white, 1 point red. I break the tie for red. If I go 1 point white, we have 1 red, 1 white, 1 white. Who gets the point?
White.
White. That's right. Okay. So no C. No C. I got 2 judges, no C. Hillary says point. What do we got? A neutral. A neutral. We both step out. Who's left? A point red. So that would be point to that player. Yes? Give me 2 claps. Okay. Question. Go ahead and unmute yours. There you go. Unmute.
Is a blocked judge calls a block shot? Is that the X block low sign? If they block,
Yes.
different.
Yes.
Okay.
That'd be no point. I saw it. It was blocked. I saw it blocked.
Okay.
Yes. Ms. Hillary, do you have a question? Oh, I look like I saw you. Look at. Okay. So we got point neutral. Still player red. White no point. Red's point. Red point. Neutral. Red point. Red point. 1 point red. 1 point white. 1 point neutral. Who gets a point?
Nobody.
Nobody. Right. We got 1 here. 1 here. No tiebreaker. 1 here. 1 here. Whichever way the third person calls, we got 2 to 1. We got a tiebreaker. We have a majority. If I go no C, and we're out, you are a majority of 1. So the player gets the point in regular time. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Now, the other caveat is we all see, okay, I got 2 points red, head kick. And I got Matt says 3 points red, jump head kick. It doesn't matter. I say no C, or somebody says no point. We've got two people who have agreed that there is a head, that there has been a kick to the head. Yes?
Mhm.
I just think he was on the ground. He thinks he was in the air. There is no discrepancy that there was a kick to player's head. So if red gets 2 points red, 3 points red, and a no C, it's 2 points. We do the lower of the two because we both agreed it's a headshot, but the discrepancy we go lower. We don't go higher. We want to be fair as we can. If it's 2 points red, 3 points red, no point, right? There's still two people have agreed there's a head kick.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say, okay, well, I take out the 2 and the 3 goes. So it's the exact same thing. Did he get the head kick? Yes. We just disagreed on what it was 2 or 3. What does he get? Throw me the gang signs. Gets 2. That's right. So we always play down. So player red gets 2. Player red gets 3. No C. We got a positive 1 and it doesn't matter. It doesn't like the 3 override the 2. It's just no point. Red 2, white 3, red 2. Does that make sense? Okay. So now we have split. We have red 3, white 3, and then I go whichever side I pick, whether it's 2 or 3. Now, if I go, I saw 1, I saw the body shot, which sucks. Maybe you saw the kick. I didn't see the kick, but on landing, boom, they back fisted or punched them. And I call red 1. We got a 3 and we got a 1. We have agreed that player red scored. Just one of you thinks it's a jump kick. One of us thinks it's a punch. What do they get?
1 point.
1. That's right. Perfect. And you guys can be judges today. Thank you guys for being attentive. I know that I'm trying to do this quickly. I'm about at the end of my rope here. So here we go. Where am I at? We were talking about where did the weapons? Oh, it went off. All right, boom, boom. Said, I'm sorry. What happened is that it went off, and so now I need to. There it is. Okay, sparring, form, side by side, uniform, special. Jesus. All right, team form, sparring divisions. All right, and that's it. After time. Okay, now the last of the last. If we run out of time and it's tied, first point wins. Which point? First point wins. We have to have 2 to confirm. Bless you, Miss Hillary. So we got point red, no C, no C. We step out. It's still a majority of 1. But we have to have 2 to confirm. That way it doesn't look like, favoritism or bias. We want 2 people to lay eyes on that, right? And if it's red 1, red 2, we both agreed red scored. So the confirmation would be we did see him score. So it doesn't matter about the point total. It's 2 people saw him score. We're good to go there. Question? All right. Coaches may be present. You got to sit in the designated seat. That's the thing. If there's an empty seat, there's no privileges for your player. That's the one thing to remember. Only competitors, judging the coaches, allowed in the competition area. Now you can sit with your player. Now, if it doesn't hurt your knees, back, neck to do that, and you can spend time with them. A lot of the juice in like slowing things down and keeping them calm happens on the sideline. It's the self-talk that they have, like, oh my, that dude's he's so fast. It's like, hey, look and see it. The round kick sounds fast, don't it? But if you keep that rear hand up, he's going to hit your arm, and now this hand can do something on your front leg. Does that make sense? Oh, he always throws his right kick, and so if we move to our right, we don't run into his strengths. So you can coach them while they're sitting there waiting for their next match and keep them calm, encourage them. It's just they're not emotionally intelligent enough to unwind some of their feelings sometimes and the anxiety. Who knows that the anxiety and excitement is the exact same electrical and chemical impulses in our head. It's exactly the same when they measured it. It's just if they go, man, this is going to be exciting, right? You get a letter from the IRS. Who's happy? Oh, God. but it is a check. You're like, oh yeah, right? Exact same thing. It's just how you look at it is different. So if we can manage their emotions on the sidelines, it's going to be a great day for them. Now, here's what I said in the case of safety and clarity. So in sparring, if something is happening and you see your players like, oh, yeah, excuse me, sir, may I have a timeout, please? I have a clarification. Don't just yell timeout when they're just getting the crap kicked. I mean, it's a great way to yell, run out, run. Make it a one-word command so you don't get in a boatload of trouble. But run that can't, it can necessarily not mean run. It could be just back straight out of the ring. Get you a command. Duck, duck, goose. I just start backing up until the center ref yells, I'm out of bounds. I'm not being scored on. I'm not getting struck any longer. So if something's happening and you can see that your kiddo is having a problem, you can do like a hitchhiking thumb, and that's just back out of bounds, stop the action, because you're allowed to coach in between. So when they come back to their spot, hey, put your best leg in front, get your side kick on them, side kick and move, side kick and move, side kick and move. If you get in trouble and you get scared, back out of the ring, they'll stop the action, right? And so have a command for that, but you can ask for clarity. You can't stop everything just because you don't want your player to get scored on. But if something's happening that you don't understand, remember, we want it to be fun, we want it to be fair, and we want it to be safe. So if something's happening that you don't understand, that puts the student in jeopardy, the player in jeopardy, or makes it unfair, get clarity on that. We're okay with that. We want everybody to have a good time. We just don't want 15 people trying to stop the action every time we call a point. Coaches are allowed to protest with professionalism. That's why if something happened and it was egregious, and I'll tell you about that in just a minute, then you just walk over to the judges table. You don't have to do it immediately. It doesn't have to look like a big thing. See if your competitor can unwind the situation. And then if there's a problem, then it's basically, I'm telling you, have two bites at the apple. It makes my day harder, but it's fair for you because I want it to be fair for you and your player. If you think something's wrong and you didn't quite get clarity, or you got clarity and you realize there's a problem, after it, you got 2 minutes, go to the judges table if you need to, if it was unfair enough, or you think it would have changed the complexion of the match, ask your instructor, see if you can have somebody there for 2 minutes, then go to make your protest and we'll look at it. Coaches issue, you got to go to the judges table to do it. A protest, then we'll handle it. The protest committee will be pulled. Competitors aren't allowed to protest the protest, right? I already told you, if it's solved for one, it automatically solves for the other competitor. A judge can be any rank, but you got to be a level 1 or 2 certified UTA judge, is what Mr. Hengy is doing today. Any questions on the sparring portion of that? That's the stop and go point sparring. So you see it as a coach, understanding what's happening allows you to be able to understand the action and inform your player a little better. Tag team sparring is a 3-minute round. The highest score wins. There's no, you can be 100-6. There's no spread or anything. The tie will be broken by the first point by the 2 team captains. The judges can be any rank, but you got to be a level 1 or 2 certified judge. And you guys know that the tag team sparring is the one where you can't coach, but you want to do your coaching ahead of time before they compete. You can tell them, hey, everybody wholesale change every call for the first 2 calls, then do what you want, right? That's the only rule you need to give them. If they do that, they won't be disqualified for all the players not competing. In the padded sword sparring, if you got people doing the padded weapons, I'm going to do the padded stick first, because in the padded stick, it's a melee. If I poke you in the face with a stick, doesn't work. Right. If I can hit you any way that I hit you with a stick, yeah, I'm hitting you with a stick. Give me 2 claps, right? A beating with a stick is a beating with a stick. So as long as you hit them, you score. The whole body is 1 point. You got to wear a face shield because you can stab with the weapons. It's a 5-point max, or whoever has the most points at the end, but never goes to the end. In overtime, first point wins. So as long as I hit you, you cannot use the short end of the stick. The gunt, you can't use the bottom part of it. It's only the end of the stick. Does that make sense? Okay. So now, I can't use my cursor. So on my iPhone. All right. So in the padded sword, though, who's got it? You have any competitors doing the padded weapons, the padded sword? Okay. If you do, Ms. Hilly, like I would take one sword for my school in case somebody, a lot of times they'll sign up there on the spot because they think it looks fun, or there's just not a whole lot of competitors. I didn't do good, but I get to try to do the padded weapon division. But you put a piece of tape on one side of the padded sword. Tape on one side of the padded sword. There are two rules. Both hands have to stay on the sword. And I can only, like a sword, only has one sharp edge. So if you watch a padded sword division and I'm just beating you to death with the side of it, but I'm not turning it to where the tape, it's also, if you're a coach, hit them with the tape, hit them with the tape, hit them with the tape. It's an easy command for them to hear. Blade edge, they don't know what that is. So, but if I don't turn, if I'm not cutting a knife with the edge, the blade edge, it's ineffective. So I can only score with the tip or the blade edge, means I have to turn my hands when I change directions. Does that make sense with you? So it's 3 minutes, 2 minutes, it's 3 judges, 5-point max. All calls are 1 point, and we stop and go so that same as the stick, we stop in between so that you can see what's being called, and that allows you to coach on the spot. Single elimination, the whole body on both of them. You can score points on the whole body. Competitor must always have 2 hands on the sword, 1 hand on the stick. We don't want 2 hands on the stick unless they're like 3 years old. The strikes are only the cutting edge and the tip on the sword. Face shield has to be worn. And in overtime, who wins in overtime if you're tied?
First point.
First point.
First point. Boom. All right, guys. And that is that. Any questions on the judging portion? Let me take a picture here for the judging. Boom. Thank you, guys. You've been very patient. You were excellent. Is there any questions that you have for me that I can help you with? Oh, I got to let me put the chat on. I took the picture. Close the chat so I can see. No. All right. So I give you another 20 seconds. Let you formulate. Anybody have any kind of question?
Red belt. As I got a question. Red belt and below, there's no punching to the head for the kids.
No,
right?
no, below red belt. Red belt and above. Red belts can punch to the face.
So below the red belt level, if you're a coach of a competitor and you're just watching the matches before that, and you see the judges letting them hit to the head, I can't go to the center judge when he's busy to tell him that. Is there another person that you've designated to go to and say the judges are getting it wrong?
I would actually, if you see that, that's where, if you can get, who's your teacher, your instructor?
Mr. Dunham, Justin.
Okay, Mr. Dunham, perfect. There should be, if Mr. Dunham, now he's higher rank, he gets pretty busy, and so you may have a senior. So if you have a coach who's a black belt, or Miss Hillary knows everybody, do you work at the school? Do you know everybody?
Me, yes, I know everybody in my school. And
so if you know all of your competitors, and you can be a senior coach, you get designated. I just know Miss Hillary works at the school.
Sure.
With me, it's Master Pizarro or Miss Trish. There's 2 people that know my intent. And so if they see something, remember, I only want 3 things. I want it fun, I want it fair, and I want it safe. And if somebody's letting somebody below red belt punch to the face, it's not necessarily safe, and it's definitely not fair. And so that's where one of you guys would be designated to go find one of us floor directors, because that's not a protest. You don't have to protest.
Right.
Now, if your student lost because of that, I would protest that. Why? Listen, why would I protest it? Because he scored. If he beat my kid with 3 head punches, he scored 3 points with an illegal technique.
Right.
So if my player sidekicked him and it has 1 point, and your player has 3 points, but they're all head punches in a green belt or blue belt division. Excuse me, sir, and I have video. Excuse me, sir, I would like to lodge a formal protest, and they're gonna, and you're off the clock. So as long as you do it within the 2 minutes. See, because you're watching the other matches. Can you say anything about other matches? You're not their coach, but your match. So you can play this one of two ways. Me, as an instructor and as a tournament director, I will fix it immediately because I don't want it to happen. It's not safe. It's not fair. It doesn't meet one of my criteria. However, if you see it happen and it gets as far as your player, it gives you an unfair advantage because no other coach protested it, did they?
No.
So if you protest it and your player wins, they scored 3 points, head punches. Your player scored 1 kick to the body. I lost 3-1, but I'm the only one who scored appropriately. I win the match. Everybody else can't come back and re-protest. Their 2-minute window is closed.
Right.
So there's 2 ways to play it. As I know what I do. Now, and I'll be quite honest with you. If we're in international competition and I saw that, it's a rule I can exploit, right? I'm a coach. But as a director and a senior, I want everything fair for everybody. So we do want it fair. Nobody wants to lose wrong. But also, why didn't another coach, if the other coaches, the kid doesn't have a coach, or the other coaches are calling that, not saying anything?
Right. Yeah.
A good question. Great question, actually. Nobody's even asked that. That's I had to walk that one through my head first.
Yeah, we had the
Any other
situation
questions?
last year, and then the next one is if you're coaching a kid in patterns, traditional patterns, and one of the other kids is doing a pattern that's higher, so they're doing gay back, but they're a green belt for some darn reason. That's not a protest.
Is that within
just
3 ranks of green belt?
No.
Is an illegal pattern.
So, that's not a protest.
Do you have a video of it? Yeah.
Well,
so you get. So if I'm the coach and Hillary's the parent, I'm like, Miss Hillary, will you make sure you video this for me? All right. Now I'm back into my coaching deal because if I have to make a protest on her child's behalf, I need
that video.
Need something.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and I'm not saying, it's not. I want you to video me. I want to do a good job. Right? You're not trying to catch me doing something wrong. However, that is a pretty egregious.
Sure. Those are just scenarios.
If they were a red belt. Now listen, if they're a brown belt doing Chung Mu, and I want to show them theoretically Kwang Gae, or all of the first degree patterns were within 3 ranks of their pattern, right? I mean, theoretically, a brown belt could learn Ju Che. Not that I would do that. But I mean, like, man, if the kid can do Ju Che awesomely, but that's where it gets a little hinky. But you're correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So it does need to be within the parameters. So I've told all the judges it needs to be within 3 ranks of their three of their patterns. So there's one or 2 below, 1 or 2 above. I mean, like, I don't do all the patterns, and so my green belts, all green, blue, and purple, all do Wan Yo. All my red and brown do Wall Wrong to compete with. And so, but also traditionally, that's really only 3, your belt and 3 stripes. We just do different belts, right? So,
okay. Thank you. That's good.
Anything else? Man, you guys are awesome. These are great questions. I didn't get any of these questions in my other 5. This is my 6th one I'm doing. So it's like, thank you. I'm getting pretty good at it, though. We were done in 50 minutes, except for the question and answer.
I do have a question regarding patterns.
Yes, ma'am.
Since we teach the Chun So Kwan patterns, Grandmaster Wadley said they have to compete with any of the Chun So Kwan patterns in the non-traditional forms. So we're trying to catch all of those people. If we don't catch everybody and they have registered for a traditional pattern and they come in and do a Chun So Kwan pattern, are they disqualified from that traditional pattern competition they're in because it's an illegal pattern for that group? Is there a way that we can redirect them to the appropriate?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's yes to both. It is a non-traditional pattern, so it will not be scored, right? Because it's not a legal pattern. And I'll go, hey, come with me, Miss Hillary, let's go over here. Because in ring 6, we're doing non-traditional patterns. I will walk them over. And as a judge, Mr. Henji, what we do is we get somebody, us or somebody else. I'll do it because I'm high enough rank that generally I don't get pushback. So I want to make sure I can ensure that your kid is plugged in. And so I take them right over there and I go, hey, it got registered. I just go, hey, I registered this kid wrong. So that way they don't argue with me. I registered this kid wrong. He is actually in non-traditional patterns. And so can we get him plugged in? And they will.
Yeah.
They'll redo or they'll plug him in on the next round, right? Because all things being equal, we'll work it out.
Okay.
But that's what we do. And if for some reason he missed that, we put him in creative, right? I mean, like we'll make sure, but it's like they'll do traditional, and then they'll line up non-traditional. And so when I go and I'm lining everybody up, what school are you from? What pattern are you doing? What's the name of your pattern? What's the name of your pattern? What's the name of your pattern? And so if I catch, that's what I do to catch it early. And that's what I encourage you, Mr. Henge, is when you line them up, make sure, hey, what pattern are you doing? Because they don't know. Nobody knows that the Chung Shil Kwan came after the ATA. So the ATA patterns, the Chung Shil Kwan, the GTMA has a set of patterns. There's several groups like that left the ATA after they went to the Sangam and they created their own Tiger Rock and I can't remember them all, but there's a bunch of them out there. And so that's why we have that, because some of them, because the Chung Shil Kwan patterns, we can do, Song Song Young Gom back to back is one big giant pattern, right? It looks pretty cool. You do all of them together, it's breathtaking. The ATAs, some of their patterns, Song On patterns, some of them are like 200 something moves long. I mean, they're like, I've watched a guy test for his 9th degree, man, and he had a pattern that lasted like 6 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Man, I can't really. That's like running a mile. Well, that's like Hillary running a mile, not me. But I mean, somebody can run a mile in 6 minutes, not me. Good question though. But yes, our job. Remember, Mr. Henge, our job. And we want it safe. We want it fair. We want it fun. So everything that we can do to make things fair is what we do. Great question, man. Any other questions? All right, guys. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you making time. If you need any help, just look for the Bald Guy Grand Nationals. I'm out there for you. So if you need me, I'm there. Safe travels, and I'll see you guys in about 3 weeks.
All right. Take care.
Bye-bye.